Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of mine and Tex's video of the all combats rated for 2022. So again, thank you Tex for joining me and helping me rate all these bots.
Yeah, no, good to be back. Good to see it under part two of this batch.
Yeah, and a bit of a bigger batch than the previous one, this one. So we're trying to cover all of the sort of recent bots as of this video that are available as 4 stars and 5 stars. And I appreciate there's a couple more that aren't included, but hopefully we can go on and sort of include them at a later date and add them onto the roster. As we said previously, that we can keep doing these videos throughout next year and have a look back and maybe even change the ratings, and it's sort of endless where we can go. But we've done, like I said, air class, we've done triple changes, we've done the warrior class. I think we've done all the classes now apart from healers, which is coming soon. And then obviously then we can go on to other things as well. So after this, even combined, I think it'd be a good one to go through. So yeah, be interesting where to go.
Yeah, let's
So
get going.
as always, let's get cracking. Let's get the ratings in. And straight away, we've got a bit of a controversial one, I think.
Yeah,
And that is Double Crosser and Sound Barrier. So, what do you think of these
yeah.
guys?
I got these guys as a poor man's Shieldron, so it's
Yeah.
pre situational at best for me.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
this is a backup. This is a backup option combat, and I think that's what people have to work with. You're not always going to pull every combat that you're after, and look, is sound barrier the best? No. Is the worst? No. I think you can work with it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree. Maybe not as controversial as I thought. So Stripes and Glitz. Where would you put these guys?
I want to put them in godly because these are my medics.
See, I would at least put them good. At
Look,
least.
it's
So,
good. It's good because look, it's nothing. They're not
do
super
we
crazy.
cheat? Do we cheat and
No,
put them in the middle there?
no, no fence sitting here. It's either good for me, as I said, kind of known for the whole no medics, but this guy's my medic, but he's a combat. So, he does great things for my team. It's not godly, just my view of he fits perfectly for what I need. He's a
Yeah,
companion, so can go on anyone. And yeah, great for op duty because if the host is killed, he'll go off and heal a base defense, which is can be annoying if he starts healing the headquarters. So, um, yeah, look, I've got him in the high end of good personally.
yeah, definitely. I had him on my team for a long, long, long time on Rook, and it's actually Shieldron that I dropped
Mm.
Stripes for. And the reason for is because I run two healers. Again, because I had two healers, because I had Traxodon, because he had Stripes, because he had all this overkill of healing. Again, what we previously talked about in the previous video about healing counters, because I had so much healing. And then because I
Yep.
had Ratchet's heal bomb, and because I had Wheeljack's ability as well, because I had all these added together, it was a healing overkill. And so I thought, I can afford to actually lose Stripes out of this team. And that's not because he's bad by any means at all. It was just, I've got so much healing. I could afford to lose a little and maybe gain something else in Shieldron and reducing the ability cost of Rook, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, definitely a really, really good bot. And next up we have Glitch and Gatorface. So I mean, when this guy first come out, people said, well, what's the point of putting him on smoke screen? Smoke screen's already got that range. You might put him on someone else. But I've
No.
got 5-star glitch on my smoke screen, and I think it just enhances him. It
Well, he
just,
does.
yeah,
He gives you more critical hits.
yeah,
A critical hit from smokescreen. Damn, that's crazy damage.
yeah,
That's why people who attacking just be like, why are my bots dying? I can't even see where
yeah,
their damage is coming from.
yeah,
And yeah, I love Glitch. He's in that borderline of almost godly because even more so from outpost duty. Same as stripes. It can be very effective on both attacking and defense. And obviously, I have my glitch on sea spray. Um, it helps power level because you are really
yeah,
far back from stuff that allow you to use your ability, and then he's just cleaning up very quickly. The critical shots will finish off a building and then go use another ability. So yeah, I highly rate Glitch, and yeah, he needs to be on there for someone, whether it's Smokescreen, Sea Spray, or even Warpath. People like that need glitch.
Yeah, that's why I like him as well, because you can add it to Smokescreen, which keeps the range, doesn't change him, but enhances him. Because if you put Top Shot on off flank, you sort of lose a bit of what Smokescreen has. So I like
Yeah,
that sort of sense, but you can also put it on a different bot as well. So you've got to keep in mind that it reduces the range of the ability. But that's where it's so good on Warpath as well. So, and I found that I've got a bit of a team of using 3-star glitch and top heavy and things like that, where all my gunners are really set back because of the distance that the combats give them, and those guys just stay alive to the end. They just
well, they
because of the
do.
range,
Yeah,
they don't still get hit by hardly anything. So you can literally lose all your tanks, medics, whatever, and these three guys just pick things off one by one. Definitely don't be disappointed with this guy though. So are we saying good for glitch
yeah,
and get it
a,
fix?
a solid good, and that's what you want.
Yeah, I think like Stripes and Glit, they are very good. They're not a good, yeah, they're pretty good. They are very good. I wouldn't quite say godly,
No,
but yeah, very, very good. Okay, top heavy and sights up next. So I had this guy on Sea Spray for a while, but I found it sort of shortened his ability range a bit too much. And it's a bit too random. And that's the word I'm going to use quite a bit in quite a few of these combats, I think. Is that they're coming up with bot abilities that are very good, but adding a massive randomness factor to them, and that's the issue I have with them. I don't think it's awful by any means, but I just
I
don't
mean,
like
I
the
look.
randomness.
No, no, like no, nobody likes randomness. They like to have a
Yeah,
a plan and like to know what that combat bot combiner is going to do.
yeah.
This guy's a little mini inbuilt warpath. That's what he is, and believe it or not, that's where my 5-star top heavy lives. He lives on my warpath.
Yeah.
It's just because obviously the warpath range is not affected by this guy, and then when he does go into walk in the base, he kind of just does what warpath does, and I like him for that. And I kind of touched on it in that last video that certain combats I think are designed to be paired with a certain bot. Um, Maybe not officially, but with the experience that you have when using those combats, you'd be like, okay, I think he's better suited to bot X, bot Y, and it's like, okay, so the people who don't have glitch, they can have top heavy on Sea Spray, that's for sure. But I'd still just keep top heavy to a warpath personally from
Yeah.
from my experience, and just because you're not negating that range um, as much.
So situational.
Yeah, I think situational because you got to be using a warpath
Yeah.
kind of get up. Uh, doesn't really fit into that outpost duty kind of cycle of things. So for me, he doesn't make that solid good category as the other ones.
Yeah. I mean, when you line up Warpath, you line it up right, and then you can line up top heavy to go with that. Brilliant. That's fine. And then afterwards, if you're using Warpath ability and he hits that ability, fine.
Mm.
Brilliant. If he doesn't, meh.
Just
And that's it. That's the
yeah,
randomness of it, I think. Yeah.
yeah, it can just shoot off into an empty space and be like, oh.
So next up, we've got Red Heat and Bomb Shock. Now,
Mm,
I'm not a fan of companion bots, regardless. And I think even my feedback
yeah,
during testing was the same that these guys just don't do enough. It's just a bit of DPS for me. That's all it is. And then we have the
yeah.
wall humping and everything else, but just a bit of DPS. Is that all? Is that all it
Yeah,
is?
yeah, for him, I mean, I feel like he was the first combat that got memes made about him. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I've not seen them.
well, I mean, the wall humping bug was very bad, and it just,
Yeah.
you know, as soon as you hear about it and then you start to see videos of it, no one's putting this bot on a team for any reason. Like, there wasn't even a category below not great for this guy.
Wow. That bad.
Yeah,
So definitely not
but
great.
yeah, definitely not great. But we'll touch back on him when we talk about the last
Well,
combat in this batch.
yeah, true. Okay. So Spoilsport and Aimless. So I have 4 star. Well, I had 4 star Spoilsport, I think, on Sea Spray, which I found was really effective. I actually played top heavy at one point. And I actually want the 5 star Spoilsport from that batch. It's the one 5 star that I want. I like him. I think he's really good. I don't like the fact that he hits walls, but again, that's just the same as Laser Optimus. Let's be honest. It's just
Yeah,
again a rehash of an ability, which is Laser Optimus. But I think the difference here is that it's guaranteed to hit defenses. That's the one difference, and that although it is a bit of randomness to it, because it's all close by, you're always going to hit something relevant.
yeah,
Always.
always. Look, I think it's a solid uh, for the gunner class. He's not the heights of a flak or a top shot, but he's definitely in the solid all round good category for me. Spoil sport. And as you said, it's the start of the not start of, but it's a part of the package of combats that are infusing a bot's ability and essentially making it twice as good as some of the original combats that just came out with a straight up ability or straight up health and DPS. So, I mean, look, it's better than it was back in the past, and yeah, I wouldn't mind having him. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's the one 5 star I think I'm missing from my gunners. I've got obviously, like I said, I've got a 5 star top shot. But yeah, I think Sport is the next one for me. I've got 5 star glitch as well, and he's the next one that I'd like personally. Yeah, he's in my war team as a 4 star, which is a lot. So I like him. I like him. But I think the big question we'll come up against later, we should talk about before we finish, is rehashing a bot abilities a good thing in combats?
Mm,
That's the big question we should talk about later, but yeah.
yeah.
And then next up we have Dazzle Strike and Giza. Now I'm gonna go out on a limb here and ask you, what does this guy even do?
Well, the fact that I did have to make a poster just to remind people what this guy does kind of just highlights that no one really did
It's
understand what it
confusing,
it
so
it
confusing.
is. Well, I mean, I think when testing it, this is probably the least amount of touch time we ever had on any content to date. I think we
Probably.
had like 2 days and no feedback, and I was like, "Is this finished? Like, we didn't even do nothing." And I feel like that's why he is how he is.
Well,
Um,
my feedback at the time was you. It's not that does it or doesn't it work. It was the visuals. You need a better
it
visual,
was.
and then they added the visual that they got now, and it still makes no sense. And for me, it should have been a pulse. Like my Cronus, so it pulses out and you can see what it touches. And you can go,
Yeah,
right, okay, it's touched the X defenses. I know those now are
slowed down.
slowed down. I know that those ones are affected. But visually, it's really poor to see what he's actually doing. And so you
Yeah,
start to question if he's doing anything. I mean, slowdown's hard enough anyway because you've got to actually physically really look at the defenses and judge how much they're actually firing. It's all well and good just saying, well, obviously they're under slow down. If it's 50%, you know they're going half as slow. Yeah, we know that, but I mean visually, it's very hard to see slow down in action. You can see stun because there's nothing happening. It's got a massive visual. Slow down's just got a bit of an arrow, and I just think this guy, we know what he does,
yeah,
but how much is he doing that for? And that's the
yeah.
big problem.
The original visual of this like starry kind of whatever to at least an icon. It was an improvement, but I think your idea is a bit better to have this pulsating distance that you know that anything within that it's
Yeah.
going to be affected.
Yeah, again, just frustrating that I fed that back in playtest, and we've still got this dazzling
Yeah,
starry
I,
thing that you can hardly see.
I, w- I wouldn't even bother reworking this one to be honest. I
Wow.
just move on. It's there's better
So,
things to be doing.
see, obviously, I'm talking about in the current meta about slow down, and there's no counter for it, and that's my big angle at the minute. That if you go towards slow down, I think they will eventually. I think,
Yeah,
but at the minute, there's nothing to affect slow down. So if you look at that purely, this guy should be great,
he
surely.
should.
But like I said, he's not. So not great then.
Not great, not great. No,
But is it
I
not
do.
great because of the visuals, or is it not great because it does nothing or doesn't do enough, or is it not great because it's underappreciated?
I think it's also who you would be equipping it to, right? You're essentially trying to put it on a frontline tank who has better options, who you would rather choose. He's not good enough to go up the queue to jump in front of a different combat for me. Generally, the stuff at the front of your team, whether you're walking or whatever you're doing, you need the top best combats, and he's not even remotely close.
And next up, we've got Pinpointer and Singe. So, quite new to the game. Not everyone sort of got these guys yet. We obviously put them in testing. What do you think of these guys?
Uh, I love him because the healing, right? Anything
Yeah,
that has this sub healing effect, as well as amplifying the bot through a DPS factor, it's great. It only attaches to air class. I'm totally down with that.
I'd like it to have
So
been more viable, personally.
as in
I
like
would,
to gunners.
yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
one thing, the one downside of him. If this guy was available on everything, I'd be like, yeah, definitely in the good section, higher good, like glitch. And I just find it's, I wouldn't say situational, but
No.
like you've got,
But
I
this
mean,
is
you've
a
got to have a flyer though.
it's
So this guy is really,
yeah.
really good, really, really good. It's one of the few combats recently that I've been quite excited about. And the story sort of goes. So when this guy sort of came in testing, I was like, this sounds really, really good. And then I thought, oh, this will really help with power leveling certain bots. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I could put it on C spray and help power level him. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm actually power leveling up for a couple of gunners in a minute. I'm power leveling Prowl. This guy been really good on Prowl to keep him alive.
Hmm.
Only on air class. My blades is
Yeah.
maxed. My jet fire's maxed. I was like, right, well, he's not helping power level anyone at the minute then. And I was
No.
like, right, well, who am I gonna put it on? And I was a bit deflated with that. I was like, this guy could have been really, really, really good, really, really, and that was a downside for me personally.
I I think it's either part of their business kind of angle with this guy in particular, and I think there's a couple bots that a similar situation where would be great if you could attach them to another class of bots, and then it really opens up your flexibility. You want to chase it because it's hey, it can fit so many more spaces in what I want in the game. But yeah, like I think that's the one big downside to only air class. You kind of limits it a bit.
I think it
Yeah.
just restricts game style or game choices. Again, and as I said in the past, I'm all for choice personally. I like people to choose different things and be able to think like a bit outside the box maybe. And I think this just pigeonholes him. Like you've got to put it on an air class and you should be able to widen it out a bit. And I don't like these that are just dedicated to one class. I'm not a big fan of that at all. But I'd still put him in good, I think.
Yeah.
But I,
For
for
what
that
for what
reason,
for well, yeah.
it'd been the
Uh,
lower end of good. That's the point for me
yes.
for that one reason. I wouldn't put him up there with the rest of them that we've put in good, which were solid goods, for that
Yep.
one reason, which I think is a bit of a shame because that's not on his usability or anything like that. It's simply down to a choice the apes have made on a business decision or a class decision, whatever you want to call it, and that for me is a bit disappointing. Next up, Rat Trap, and Vertebrake.
Yeah. Bit of a downer given I think that the law around Rat Trap. This should have been a bot, not a
True,
combat.
that is a big failure. I
And
think I do agree with
it's
that.
a massive fail. It was when we heard he was coming out like, oh yeah, a bot? No, oh combat? What? That
Yeah,
doesn't seem right. I mean, you've got Beast War characters. He's a Beast War
yeah,
character. So I didn't like it. We went through a lot of when we were testing this, there was a lot of changes that were made to
yeah,
to this combat because we
yeah.
really wanted to offset the he's not a bot. So this better be a pretty damn good combat. And look, at the end of the day, I think we've done all right. I think he was the first new type of ability, giving him the stun immunity and anti-hack. I like it overall. I don't use him, but if I had him, I know where I possibly could use him. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I have mine laser up, and if I do hit Chromia, then I just use laser up. It clears half the Outpost out, it clears the tower, does a really good job. Um, is it amazing? No, I wouldn't say it's amazing. The
No.
DPS burst is pretty rubbish, to be honest.
Yeah.
The DPS is here or there. It's the
Yeah.
anti-stun that you're sort of massively using it for against Chromia.
Yeah.
But I just think it's for me, it's situational for that reason that you're very pigeonholed into. Let's be honest. Let's perfectly honest. This guy was made or designed to counter Chromia. That's what it was sort of
Yep.
made for, because that was a big issue in the game where everyone was crying out saying it's not fair, and I'm all for counters, so I'm not complaining about that 1 minute. But I just think that because we had that sort of tunnel vision of this guy is to target Chromia, he doesn't do much outside that. That's the big thing for me. If you
No.
don't get stunned, his DPS increase is pretty awful. So, do you agree? Situational?
Situational, unfortunately.
Yeah. Against Chromia and Outpost, yeah, really good.
I mean, look, if
Oh,
I think if Red Alert didn't exist as a bot, Rat
true.
Trap could have taken his place. So I don't know. I just at the end of the day, people are saying still are just a bit unhappy that he's a combat, and I think it
Yeah.
turns you off a bit because you know people play this game, they're connected to the game from different angles, collecting. I like a strategy game, blah blah. The crossovers, they're great. So you like to have that engagement of recognizing certain characters. And this is such a recognizable character. They just, yeah. I'm still upset that it's a combat versus a bot because I'm limited to using this character in a certain way. I'd love to use this guy on a war team, as a bot, but I can't.
Can't bring yourself to do it.
No.
And then we've got Air Razor and Tombot.
Mm.
So for
Yeah.
me,
Oh,
very
are we?
much like Night Stalker in that sense. That outpost
Yeah.
duty, amazing. Do you use it on attack? Not me, not
Um,
personally.
no, no,
No.
only on defense. And if it's the bugged version of Air Razor, it goes into Godly.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I've just pulled the 5 star, so out of that batch,
I
trying to get
saw, I saw,
Spoilsport.
yeah,
Yeah,
I saw.
so wasn't unhappy with it. Wasn't happy
No,
with it. It increased, it improved my defense, so I'm not gonna be unhappy. I've got a use for it, but again, I still want that Spoilsport. Rat Trap's on my war team for that reason, so I wouldn't be annoyed with that either. But yeah, again, very much for me like Night Stalker, but an air version. Not a massive upgrade, but putting both of them in an outpost, is it going to cause issues? Yeah, it is.
yeah, for sure. I think because less things target, like we said, we had a lot of issues with attacking bots who couldn't target Air Razor,
Yeah.
and then only certain conditions were able to be targeted. So, you're making your defense a lot stronger when you're having Air Razor, who, obviously can only be targeted by certain aspects. Um, and yeah, honestly, decent stats, yeah, especially for the 5 star. Good health, good DPS, and has that orbital strike kind of mixed in with her. No, I think she's good for me. It's funny. I put her in a good, even though I wouldn't have it on an attacking war team because the anti-air will just she gone. It's just not enough. You're isolated, just hanging around. You're just waiting to get picked off. But on the defense, there's really nothing to pick her off. So kind of balances out for me to be the lower end of good, I suppose. That's how I would see her.
So situational then, probably then, but
Uh, yeah, look, I'm happy with situation because I'm not not wanting to chase her, but if I have her, I'll find a place for her.
yeah. Again, like I said, with 5 star, but wasn't disappointed, but wasn't over the moon either. So, as mentioned earlier, onto Shieldron and Fangatron. So we've already said there's an upgrade on Soundbite and Double Cross. So do we all straight away say it's in the good section because of that? Is it still situational?
I don't think it's situational. I think it's goodly. It's not
Goodly, a
godly.
whole new section.
Goodly.
Goodly.
The goodly section. Yeah, I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, you're throwing out a free hologram, right, with X amount of health, and it's free. Uh,
Yeah.
For me, I'm using it on RC. You're using it on Rook. I got to think we're kind of using it in the same
Yeah.
situation types of, you can save using an extra special ability from those bots because you're flipping out this free hologram, and they're not paper thin. They've got some decent HP, can take a few hits. Um, yeah, I solid combat for me.
No, no, yeah, agree. Like I said, went straight on my war team instead of stripes. I've got 5-star stripes at level 9, I think. And this
Oh,
guy,
you know what? I remember your video when you were contemplating,
yeah,
like you're like, ah, do I take
yeah,
stripes off? Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that. Yeah, I remember.
I'm still on the fence there now. I'm still not sure which one's best because with Rook, like you said, you get that extra hologram, so it saves you some points. But I don't think he gives you the same advantage that stripes does in terms of healing. I'm still on the fence. I'm still not like 100% behind it. To be honest with you, that Stripes is gone from my team and Shieldron is staying there. I still might switch it back to see how it goes. But that's what we want. We want people to sort of
Well,
make
I
these
was I was
choices.
just about to say it's exactly what we want. We want
Yeah,
people on the fence to be like, I'm not unhappy with either choice because they're very beneficial, and I don't know, just I like those choices. I like having
yeah,
good choices.
yeah. I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah. Okay, and next up we have Power Punch and we've got the
Road
bot's name now. Road
road burner.
I said roadblock for some reason. Road burner. Where I got roadblock from. So, we've already talked previously about Red Heat and Bomb Shock, and is this guy an upgrade on those
It
guys? Is
it
he
is. Well, when I put my description out, this is Red Heat 2.0.
okay? But does Red Heat 2.0 equal situational or good?
For me, he only goes up a class to situational.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I mean, extra damage to shock towers. How
Yeah.
beneficial is that? Really, that much though? Really?
Well, I mean, maybe not now, but if people see what's coming in tier 10 of defense perks when shock towers are immune to hack, you have more HP, could be more prevalent using this combat because I think you're going to start to see shock towers once that perk's unlocked in places that normally wouldn't be for defense purposes. So his time might not just be for now. That's the other thing.
Okay, so let me put this to you then. So, have you got this guy in your war team?
I don't have him actually. No.
Okay, so if you pulled this guy as a 5-star today, who would you place in your war team?
He would have to go on. So there's two options for these companion
But
types,
but
and
I'm not asking you like who would you? I'm saying would you? That's the point I'm making. Would you
I
put it in your
think
war team?
he would be in that situation that I just described of having a good choice. So what I meant is, so on my war team, I have Rodimus and I have RC, and these are the two bots who either have a support type companion. So right now I'm running Steeljaw and running Shieldron. Now they're the two slots. The slots aren't going to change bot wise. So I have to weigh up, does Road Burner potentially replace Steeljaw because shocks are now a problem? Am I foregoing the smoke that Steeljaw gives, or you know is RC's ability as a hologram enough that I remove Sheldron, put Roadburner on there? It's a good option to have. It would only be a 5-star. The 4-star I wouldn't worry about, or 3-star, but it's at least a conversation I can have, with the team and seeing how it fits. So bottom line, yes, I could see a spot on my war team. Is it a locked in choice? No, unfortunately.
So we've sort of gone over the part one and part two, sort of gone through all the combats, and for me, we're seeing a bit of a pattern here that a lot of the companion bots are situational or not great. That's what we're finding.
Yeah.
So are we at a point where we're saying, you know what, gunner combats are decent?
Yeah.
Is it a case of the gunner class is already good? Does the warrior class need some better combat to improve? Is it just the companion bots need to be better?
Um, well, without giving too much away already, obviously we have the new combats coming out. I really like the new combat that's coming out. And I think it's a great improvement of what you're asking, that companion bots need to step up. We have enough of the gunners. Companions need all the love right now, and yeah, I like the direction that the developers took with this one. They took our feedback pretty well, adjust a lot of values, and yeah, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with the newest companion coming out. But let's hope it continues to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. For me, I think we need some companion bots that really emphasize warrior class. For me personally, I don't think there's like protection and things like that. I'm not a big fan of bots that can be equipped that do damage as a companion personally, like Red Heat, like bots like that. I like them. That's if I'm gonna put on a tank, I want it to give protection. If I'm gonna put on a gunner, I want it to do damage. If I put on a healer, I want it to improve his healing or protection some way, and that's the way I personally just sort of work. So for me, if it's going to be some sort of warrior class companion or one that suits that, let's make that warrior class really, really good. And that's sort of my
Yeah,
stance on it. And I think that's a problem for
yeah,
me, is that we're having these bots
yeah,
that they're not going to go on gunners. Let's be honest, we're not going to put Red Heat or Bomb Shock on blades. It's not going to
no,
happen. Let's be honest. You're going to put Top Shot or Flak or someone like that on it. So let's forget that and let's just say, listen, all these companion bots are either going to go on healers or they're going to go on tanks, pretty
yeah.
much.
I mean,
And
look,
so they need to emphasize that.
I think what you were after, and it's, you look at the first um, sound barrier. Sound barrier missed the mark for
Yeah,
Warriors, right?
yeah,
And then we stepped it up by having Shieldron, but
yeah,
that for me was suited to RC and Rook, right? Because it kind of amplified the ability that they do. Now, there's definitely, as I see, a missing gap for frontline Warriors
yeah,
offering solid protection or amplifying their abilities, right? Kind of sound barriers, kind of, I don't know, mix a very weak trailblazer kind of, bubble that it's, for me, the area that sound barrier covers is not big enough to make that combat more viable for a frontline warrior. You want that area of effect way bigger. And I did kind of try to push for that, but they didn't want to enlarge the circle to what I felt was a good enough size.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So
every combat again rated in part two. So if you've not seen part one yet, guys, make sure you go and check that out. So that's every combat up to now rated in part one and part two. So as always, let us know in the comments what you think. Have we missed a trick with someone? Is there someone you think we've sort of missed class somewhere? Should we higher or lower? Let us know, guys. But as always, big thank you to Tex for joining me. Always appreciate you coming on. Always appreciate your opinions. Good to get a second point of view on these things, even though
yeah,
most of the time we even agree. Not
yeah.
always,
Now look,
not
this is
always, but
not
yeah,
always, but you know what? It's fun to come on here and have two good experienced views on it. And he said we're gonna bounce off each other, but we're gonna learn
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
off each other. And I want people who watch this to also learn from it, right?
yeah,
Like,
definitely. Yeah, that's why we do these things on this channel. Is try and educate people, try and help people to make these educated decisions rather than making the wrong choices, like maybe we did when we sort of started off. And
so many.
yeah, so many. And yeah, hopefully maybe even save some money, save some time, save some resources, and get them sort of playing the game at a decent level, maybe faster than what we did, and passing that knowledge on. So yeah. So yeah, thank you to everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. Watch out again for some more videos coming soon. We're probably going to do combiners. I think we've got to now. That's where we're going. We've done all the classes, done all the combats. So why not? So thanks for watching, guys. And as always, peace out.